What is madrasa education? The term madrasa originates from the Arabic word darasa, which means to study. If we look into the context of the Middle East, we understand that for normal schools there, public and private, they use the term madrasa frequently. Why? Because for them, any institution where the child goes to study, to explore, to investigate, that is called madrasa. Now, however, madrasa in general is referred to a school that imparts knowledge. In the context of Pakistan, or even in the contemporary South Asia, the term madrasa is often used for Islamic educational institutions, along with some of the other terms like Darul Uloom and Jamia. Madaris, plural for madrasa, are at least 1,000 years old. Accounts differ as to where madaris began, with origins being traced back to Baghdad, Syria, Morocco, and other rich cultural hubs in the Middle East. Today, however, the madrasa typically functions as a privately owned school where a religious teacher instills his pupils with the basic tenets of Islam and the Arabic language. The main subjects of madrasa education include Quran, Hadith, and Fiqh. Please note that although the above mentioned generally constitutes the core curriculum, but there is no universally fixed course of study. The interpretation of these texts, the Quran, Hadith, and Fiqh, may also vary from one madrasa to another madrasa, and you will understand the reason behind that in a while. The language of instruction is usually the regional language, Punjabi, Sindhi, Saraiki, with a local dialect, though Arabic may also be used. Cramming and rote memorization are usually the only pedagogical methods employed in the madrasa context, and discipline is usually strictly enforced. The madrasa education system is organized in terms of the following levels and grades. So what I'm going to give you now is the structure of education of the academia within the madrasa context. So the first term they use is called ibtidaya. Ibtidaya refers to the first 5 grades, or the elementary education or the primary education. In other words, it represents grade 1 to grade 5. Then what we have is mutawassita. Mutawassita, a term coins from the word mutawassit, which basically means middle. So when we refer to the middle school, we refer to grade 6 and 8. That is exactly what is targeted here. Mutawassita refers to grade 6 and 8. In other words, the middle school. Then we have the Sanviya Amma. Sanviya Amma is for grade 9th and 10th, or in other words, it is the lower secondary school. Then we have Sanve Khasa, which is grade 11 and 12th, or the high school, or the higher secondary school. Then we have Aliyah, which is the university bachelor's degree, which consists of the 2-year program, grade 13 and 14, which is equivalent, by the way, to the BA and the BSc conventional. Then we have Alimiya, which is equal to grade 15 and 16. That is equal to the conventional master's program which the local universities used to offer. Then what we have is Takmeel, which is the advanced postgraduate education offered at the Madaris. Now, differences between Islamic and secular education in the structure of education systems make comparisons somewhat difficult. Although we have just seen that, the structure is fairly similar to each other, but there are lots of different other factors which make the comparison between the two slightly difficult. And let's see what those factors are. Unlike in Western schools, under the Islamic education system, students do not progress regularly from one grade level to the next, nor are there any clear-cut divisions between primary, secondary, and tertiary levels based on performance standards and examinations. There are promotions from one grade to another grade, but they're not necessarily as well structured or as well performance oriented as in the case of the Western schools. Then we have schools generally have looser timetables or flexible timetables, and students progress individually rather than progressing as a cohort, with those who are more advanced helping those who have learned less. So number one, the madrasa schools most of the time have very flexible schedules. The performance is evaluated and the progress is made at the individual level, and most importantly, we see a lot of peer-to-peer teaching there. So the students or the children who have progressed more would actually be helping out the other students who are probably lagged behind or are struggling a little bit. So we see a lot of peer-to-peer interaction and peer-to-peer teaching in madaris. Then, madaris vary widely in size and quality and also in duration of studies. They range from informal religious instruction for young children, with classes usually taught at the local mosque or in private homes, to prestigious seminaries. So we see a lot of variety there. We see madaris in mosques, we see madaris in local homes. We also see madaris in the prestigious seminaries, the established ones, which have huge funding and have huge infrastructure. Most unregistered informal madaris offer a few hours of instruction over the weekend in makeshift classrooms. Some madaris are full-time, offering classes 5 to 7 days a week. A few well-endowed institutions offer a program of intensive study, often leading to tertiary Islamic studies, all the way to Aliyah, Alamiyah, and Takmeel. Depending on the madrasa and its resources, classes have been offered to young children from as young as preschool age, that basically would mean 2.5 years old, 3 years old, 3.5 years old, to older children and youth of high school age or even beyond. So, that's what I'm really talking about. That's the flexibility I was referring to. A 4-year-old can get started with the madrasa education, and there's very much a possibility that that 4-year-old would be at the same level of some 10-year-old who actually just started the madrasa education as well. So it is very much possible that performance-wise, a 4-year-old and a 10-year-old and a 15-year-old would be at the same level.